I get this question a lot. How do I know when to stop eating? And how do I actually stop eating when I'm full? And if you're new to intuitive eating or developing a healthy relationship with food, this seemingly simple question could be really, really confusing. You know, to someone who has always been an intuitive eater, always had a great relationship with food, it seems obvious to them, right? And you would have seen this. It's obvious when I stop eating, and it's really easy to not want to eat past fullness. But if you come from a long history of dieting, external rules, yo-yo dieting, emotional eating, binge eating, all of that stuff, food obsession, you know, this is not an obvious question to answer. It is confusing. How do you know when it's appropriate to stop eating? And how do you actually stop eating when you feel full? If you're new here, by the way, hi, I'm Rachel. And I spent about 15 years really struggling with food. I was obsessed with food. I was constantly thinking about food, tracking everything that I ate, always on a diet. I mean, it was just a mess. And I've been what some people would call an intuitive eater for years now. And I successfully healed my relationship with food. Now I can eat freely without over or under eating. I trust myself fully around food. I've got healthy control with food, you know, everything that you would consider a healthy relationship with food to be. I'm also a clinical nutritionist and therapist specializing in people's relationships with food. And I'm also the founder of She Thrives, where we teach people how to move from binge eating, yo-yo dieting, emotional eating, food obsession to what we call a normal and healthy relationship with food without relying on rules, restrictions, or willpower. And I used to wonder, as many of our clients at She Thrives do as well, as I'm sure you are, but how do people stop eating after just one cookie? Or how do they go out to a restaurant, order what sounds good, and actually leave some on their plate because they're genuinely done? I used to firmly believe that there was something inherently wrong with me, that I just liked food too much. It's really common, but I wasn't broken, and I would be very, very confident in saying that you are not broken as well. We're going to lay it out. The first thing that we need to talk about is the difference between fullness and satiety. They are similar, they are correlated, they are not the same thing. The aim, as far as we see it, when having a healthy relationship with food, is not to feel full, but to feel satiated, and to feel satiated on an appropriate amount of food. Basically, the amount of food that is appropriate for your body's needs, right? We've all had this experience of volume eating, right? For me, back in the day, it would be eating large amounts of raw vegetables and I'd feel physically full, right? But satiety is that comfortable, satisfied, I've had enough, I'm done feeling. You can be full but not satiated. You can be satiated but not full. You know, for dinner, I went out to the kitchen and ate a bushel of apples and loads of carrots and ate until I was extremely full. I'd be really full, but I would not be satisfied, right? Equally, there are times, particularly the week after my period, where I have a little bit of food, sometimes even a few mouthfuls. I'm not physically full, but I'm satiated, I'm done. I've lost interest in food. Actually thrives within the program that we teach clients to develop a healthy relationship with food. One of the very first mini skills that we're teaching is being able to recognize satiety. If you want to learn more about our process at large and the other mini skills that we teach as well to develop a healthy relationship with food, then you're very welcome to book in for a discovery call with me and I'll take you through it. If you're interested in that, I'll leave a link for that down in the description. Now, it's really important to be aware of something because I was not aware of this and it kept me stuck for a lot longer than I needed to be stuck, struggling with food. When we first start intuitive eating or developing a healthy relationship with food, it's very common for it to take us more food than average, I don't know a better way of saying it, more food than average to feel satiated. And that's if we've come from a long history of dieting, restricting, ignoring hunger cues. All of this stuff can put us into what we've called the deprivation state. And part of being in the deprivation state is that our appetite, our physical appetite, may actually be higher than the average person. And our ability to feel satiated may take us more food than the average person, or if we're not in the deprivation state. And when we're new to intuitive eating and we're starting to feel into our appetite cues and starting to try to follow them a little bit more, it can be very alarming to be like, why do I need so much food to be satiated? So this is a really important thing to be aware of. There was a client that I spoke to just yesterday who, when they were just beginning the process, the program, as is quite typical, their appetite was raised. It was taking them, more food to feel satiated. They're having a hard time recognizing satiety, getting quite confused about what that feels like to them, all really common. And now they're out of the deprivation state, their physical appetite is rebalancing, they've been practicing recognizing satiety. And now to them, it's blindingly obvious when they feel satiated, and it's taking them an appropriate amount of food, for lack of a better term, to feel satiated. So in answer to the first question here, with a healthy relationship with food, how do you know when to stop eating? The answer, as far as I see it, is satiety, not fullness. Now, obviously, the journey doesn't stop here, because once clients can recognize satiety and their physical appetite is balanced, the next question that gets raised that needs to be addressed is, but what if I want to eat past satiety though? It's all well and good that my appetite is balanced and I can recognize satiety, but I want to keep eating past satiety, or I want to keep eating when I'm not physically hungry. What do I do? And we never ever recommend to clients to use willpower to try to stop themselves from eating when they feel satiated. A healthy relationship with food is not the hunger fullness diet. It is not a healthy relationship with food to be like, okay, I'm 7 out of 10 now on the hunger satiety scale, so I better put down my fork then and step away from the table. None of that. Having a healthy relationship with food means, yes, that your physical appetite is balanced. Yes, you can hear your appetite cues and you can respond to hunger and you can respond to satiety most of the time without using willpower. I feel hungry, I eat, I feel satiated, I don't want to eat anymore. So that's the question at hand here, right? How do our clients get to the point where they naturally want to stop eating when they feel satiated? And this is a process which takes some non-judgmental curiosity and exploration. With each individual client that we work with, what we're exploring here is, what is the driving motivation behind wanting to keep eating when physical hunger has been satisfied? What is food doing for them? What is the need that's being met or served here? What are they concerned that they miss out on if they stop eating when they're satiated? And these motivations, they can vary wildly, but to give you some examples, it might be a scarcity mindset, a sense of, I need to make the most of this food now. It might be procrastination of going back to work. It might be what we call conditioned responses. For example, I have this learned compulsion to finish everything on my plate. It might be feeling very guilty or uncomfortable about wasting food. It might be emotional uses of food. And I could go on here, but in each of these cases, the motivation to keep eating past the point of feeling comfortable is stronger than the desire to feel comfortably satisfied. I hope that makes sense. And it's that motivation that needs to be understood and dismantled. There is literally no point in our experience trying to get ourselves to stop eating when we feel satiated, or trying to motivate ourselves harder to want to stop eating when we feel satiated. That's not necessary. You already want to stop eating when you feel satisfied. The issue is that you have this motivation to keep eating, which is stronger. Okay, let's take 2 examples, all right? If the motivation to keep eating past satiety is being driven by a scarcity mindset, a sense of, I've got to make the most of this food now, then trying to stop yourself from eating at that point it's only going to add to that urgency, right? It's not only not going to work, it's only going to add to the urgency. What would actually be helpful is no longer having a scarcity mindset, right? So that motivation doesn't come up. And I'll give another example. Let's say that the motivation to keep eating past satiety is procrastination. You don't want to stop eating because the moment that you stop eating, you've got to go back to work. There again, trying to stop yourself from eating isn't going to work. That urge is going to keep coming up, right? What would actually be helpful is understanding, why do you want to procrastinate going back to work, and addressing that directly. At She Thrives, inside our program, what we're helping people to achieve is to rebalance the appetite so that it's appropriate for your body's needs, get in touch with appetite cues and be able to hear them, kind of like how you hear your cues to breathe in and out, understand your motivations for wanting to eat outside of physical hunger or eat past the point of satiety and address those motivations at the root. Okay, so if you want to be able to respond to hunger and respond to satiety most of the time without using willpower, if you want to avoid going on the hunger fullness diet and actually develop a healthy relationship with food that comes naturally to you, again, I'd highly recommend booking in for a discovery call with me. All right, they're completely free. I absolutely love hosting them, and we can start to assess if the approach that we take could work for you as well. And if not, if you're in the stage of just feeling this out for yourself at the moment, then I've also got a wealth of other videos on this channel that I hope can support you in your journey. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.